Good evening and welcome to the Monash live chat event for 2013. My name is Tanya Lyon and I'm your host for this evening. This is the first time that we have embarked on an ambitious enterprise like this, and we are hoping to have a meaningful conversation with you. So let's start with some introductions. First of all, from the Faculty of Arts, we have Professor Mia Lindgren, Head of School for the newly formed School of Media, Film and Journalism. She'll be answering your questions shortly. We also have from the Faculty of Engineering, Dr. Chris Ryan, Associate Dean of Education and a specialist in fluid dynamics. We'll be hearing from Chris shortly. And from the Faculty of IT, we have participating Dr. Campbell Wilson, Deputy Head of School. Campbell will be talking about the employment opportunities facing IT graduates very shortly. And from the Faculty of Science, we have Associate Professor David Paganin, who will be here to tell us about the exciting new developments in the Faculty of Science. We also have two student ambassadors here with us tonight, both of whom are Leadership Scholarship recipients. Let's welcome Harin Tenakun and Doi Churong. Harin is studying a Commerce and Engineering double degree, and Doi is studying a Bachelor of Arts Global. They're here to answer your questions about student life. And lastly, but not leastly, behind the scenes, we have an amazing group of admissions specialists who will be answering your questions in chat mode. So they're being led by Lloyd D'Souza from the Office of Future Students. So let me take you through the flow of events for this evening. First, we'll hear from each faculty representative about what's new and exciting in their faculty. Then we'll go through again and take questions from your live chat feed and answer them. We'll try and get through as many questions as we can, but if we can't, we'll be answering those in the forum over the next coming days. At the end of tonight's event, we'll be announcing the prize winners of the iPad Nanos and also the trip to Melbourne for two. So let's start. Firstly, let me introduce Associate Professor Mia Lindgren from the Faculty of Arts. She'll be talking about what's exciting about the Faculty of Arts, a wide range of study areas. Mia.
Hi, thank you very much for that, and thank you for the opportunity to talk to you. I always like speaking to prospective students, and it's an interesting format to do it in this online way. So I'm Mia Lindgren. I teach journalism. My big passion in life is radio, so this is quite familiar, except in radio you should have not seen, you just heard. But I'm here to talk to you about arts and why would you want to study arts at Monash and how is it relevant today. Well, one of the things that we often talk about in my area is the flexibility and the breadth of an arts degree. You can study over 40 majors within the arts degree. You can take units from other faculties and you can make up double degrees in arts with, for example, law, business, science, social work, visual arts, music, education and engineering. We often also talk about the generic skills, or perhaps they're better called soft skills or transferable skills. These would be familiar words for you. And these are very attractive to employers. And if you look at the way that we describe our graduates, they, after finishing a degree with us, they come out with good written and verbal communication skills. Our students develop really strong skills in communication that enables them to express ideas clearly, form opinions and argue and think logically. They also have strong interpersonal skills, as you often hear when you think about an arts student, and of course my students in journalism, that's one of their great skills. And Monash arts students learn how to work in teams, listen, solve problems and make decisions. They're taught leadership and negotiation skills and ways to build rapport and confidence. And this might sound very kind of commonplace, but actually in the workplace today, these skills are absolutely crucial. Critical thinking skills. Everyday art students question and evaluate complex information from different angles and resist easy answers or simplistic solutions. Problem-solving skills. Art students are good at uncovering the causes of a problem and suggesting alternative solutions. They're encouraged to take an innovative and lateral approach to tackling world issues. We often think about what it means to be human, for example. Research skills. Art students are self-reliant researchers seeking out a variety of resources in order to answer complicated questions. The other thing to think about for Monash Arts is that it's the largest arts faculty in Australia, which is also quite unusual. We've got almost 10,000 students, which means that we are powerful. We like to think of ourselves in that way within the university. And we teach at Clayton and Caulfield campuses here in Melbourne, but also in Malaysia and South Africa. And we have very strong international connections. We have exchange partnerships with 120 universities in 25 countries. And we like to think about our study centre in Prato in Italy, which is a bit of a favourite place for us. So I will come back a bit later on and talk about and address some of your questions and have a bit of a question and answer session. But until then, I just want to say thank you, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks for that, Mia. That's a wonderful summary of the breadth and diversity that's available in the Faculty of Arts, and I like the idea of a powerful arts faculty as an arts graduate myself. So now we're going to turn to the Faculty of Engineering. Let's hear from Dr. Chris Ryan about the exciting developments in the Faculty of Engineering.
Thanks, Tanya. One of the questions I often get asked is, who is an engineer and what's their role in society? Well, engineers solve challenges that face all of us in society. We revolutionise fields of endeavour and we build on the success of those before us. We take breakthroughs in scientific knowledge, and you'll hear about our Faculty of Science in just a few minutes. And they implement those ideas to design and build our society for the future. Everything from designing our cities to transportation development, energy delivery, clean water and food production are all designed, constructed and maintained by engineers. Our engineering faculty at Monash has been recognised as one of the leading institutions worldwide. We offer 10 broad areas of engineering, everything from aerospace engineering to mechatronics engineering, civil engineering to electrical and computer systems engineering. All our courses are accredited at the professional level by Engineers Australia, ensuring our graduates are recognised worldwide. When you leave Monash, it's recognised globally as one of the finest engineering degrees that you can have in an Australian institution. We've also recently been accredited by the federal government, ranking Monash Engineering at 5 out of 5 in an ARC ERA registration. This is the highest ranking you can get and indicates that we provide education and research at the highest quality, not just Australia-wide, but worldwide. And this indeed was the highest rating of any engineering faculty Australia-wide. This means that we can attract the world's best researchers, not only to conduct their research with us here at Monash, but also to be able to teach you. We want the best researchers to be able to provide you cutting-edge engineering research and education so that you leave us with your graduation not only ready for industry placements, but if you prefer, you could also continue on with research in engineering. We provide a wide range, as I said, of engineering courses, 10 broad areas, as I mentioned. But we also provide a common first year. We don't expect that all of our students come to Monash knowing exactly what type of engineer they would like to finish up as. So we let you make an informed decision by completing your first year, and then at the conclusion of that, making the decision about what you would like to be from there on inwards. A single degree is typically 4 years, and our double degrees, extending by typically 1 year, can leave you to leave Monash with 2 degrees. So you can imagine you can really expand your horizons by doing an engineering and arts degree or an engineering and science degree, for example. I look forward to answering your questions about engineering at Monash today.
Thank you very much, Chris. That's a great summary of what's going on in the Faculty of Engineering, and it's good to know that double degrees are one of the key features of Monash, and Harin, one of our student ambassadors, is indeed doing a double degree in Engineering and Commerce. So, moving on to the Faculty of IT, we'll be hearing from Dr. Campbell Wilson. IT has been experiencing worldwide demand for graduates, and I'm sure Dr. Campbell Wilson will talk to this. Over to you, Campbell.
Thanks, Tanya. And I'm really happy to be here and joining you all on this live chat event. The first thing I wanted to say about IT is a little bit about what it's not. IT careers sometimes are perceived as possibly desk-bound, repetitive, isolating, a little bit boring. Actually, that's not the reality. It's nothing like that, in fact. There are exciting ICT careers everywhere. And in fact, ICT is core to almost everything that we do. It's a vital enabler of productivity, innovation in the world, and great ICT people can in fact transform the world, and there are many examples of that. And in fact, people can profit quite wildly from doing so, from such transformations. There are certainly many traditional IT jobs still around in terms of software developer, graphic designer, project manager, web developer, business analyst, the list goes on, games designer. But these jobs actually can be a lot of fun, and they're performed in teams. There's a lot of interaction with people. You're certainly not just sitting in a dark room coding away and not interacting with people. There are other ICT jobs you might not know about. Computer forensics specialist, digital artist, actuary, consulting computer scientists to scientists that are doing really exciting work. The Harvard Business Review recently said that the job data scientist is the sexiest job of the 21st century. Data scientists are people who are interested in making sense of the world of big data, mining big data using computer science algorithms. There's some really exciting things going on. There are many examples of graduates coming out of IT that are starting their own companies, using venture capital or maybe not so much money, and starting up companies that become big from rather humble foundations. The other thing that I want to pick up on, as Tanya mentioned, is that there is a clear ICT skills shortage developing. This is a skills shortage that's developing worldwide. The EU, for instance, predicts that there would be around about 1 million vacancies for IT-related roles by 2015, which is quite near future. In Australia, the demand for ICT professionals is classed as very high on the skills index that we use. In fact, it's third in the top 10 of skills vacancies lists, and that's expected to only be compounded in the next few years. So ICT is a field that is very much in demand. So that's a little bit about why you might want to study ICT in the first place. In terms of why you might want to study it at Monash. Monash has the largest faculty of IT in Australia, and it's the only dedicated faculty of IT within the group of 8 universities. Often IT is sort of spread around engineering and science in other places. At Monash, we have a dedicated faculty of IT. We're also ranked #1 in Australia for computer science, so very widely well recognised. In terms of education, we offer a very flexible range of programs. We have 4 degrees that span from, my lights have gone off, that span from the business information systems side of IT, which is the sort of more commercial side of IT, and I do apologise, I have to move to turn the lights on, to the more technical side of IT, which is computer science. So we span the full spectrum. Also from next year, all of our courses have a mandatory work experience component. So there is an industrial experience component. That's also built into all our master's degrees as well. So there's some really exciting stuff happening in IT, and I look forward to speaking to you more about it in the coming hour or so.
Thanks for that summary, Campbell. I think your point about what's happening with big data is one of particular relevance to journalism and to marketing. I know that as a marketing person myself, our dependence on IT specialists is growing with every day and every new development in the IT field. So I think that just also lends itself to that double degree opportunity as well. Okay, so let's move on, and we'll be talking to Associate Professor David Paganin from the Faculty of Science. David, tell us what's going on in the Faculty of Science. Amazing things I hear.
There's always heaps going on in the Faculty of Science. If you're considering science, let's think about the importance of science in society. The internet that we're a part of now and interacting with now, I mean, the future is here. Scientists invented the internet. Engineers subsequently made it happen on the global scale, and information technology ditto. But the point is, you know, here we have the previous two speakers together with me working together to make the internet. This is one example of many of the importance of science in society. Another example is the mobile phone. The mobile phone is again, an immense piece of technology. Often when I look at a mobile phone, I'll think to myself, the future is here. Many of the features of a mobile phone were science fiction not so long ago, and again, science plays an immensely important part in this, as does engineering and information technology. As a third and final example of the importance of science in society, consider the global positioning system. When you press a button on your mobile phone to locate your position anywhere in the world, the Einstein field equations of general relativity calculate the curvature of space-time, which helps with the timing of the satellites that are an intrinsic part of that global positioning system that locates your location when you post a status update on Facebook, for example. These are three examples of many that could be chosen in which we see science shaping society. And society is being shaped, that the world is ever changing. The rate at which the world is changing is faster than it has ever been. Many of the jobs that our science graduates and graduates of any of our faculties will have, many of these jobs don't even exist yet. And focusing on science, there's always an application for science in a world that's changing so rapidly and to which science is contributing so much. It's not so much the specific things that you can do as the fundamental broad skills that you can apply to problems that don't exist yet, to jobs that don't yet exist. The specific skills and also the soft skills that Mia spoke about, specific analytical scientific skills, specific scientific problem-solving skills, and also the soft skills such as communications and other soft skills that Mia spoke about. Both, by the way, are roughly equally important in the eyes of employers. And we want you to be job ready in today's society. Regarding the benefits of science at Monash, flexibility is a huge benefit. We're a large elite university. We have an immense amount of offerings from A to Z, from astrophysics and astronomy through to zoology and all of the sciences in between. There's an immense offering of science as part of our flagship degrees, our Bachelor of Science, and also many of the double degrees that Mia's already spoken about. That flexibility is a huge thing. It's also a great time to be considering science at Monash, in part because of the immense amount of infrastructure, existing infrastructure and new infrastructure that we have on campus at Clayton, the X-ray synchrotron, the Monash Centre for Electron Microscopy, the Monash Centre for Nanofabrication, Green Chemical Futures, the New Horizons building, and the list goes on. Some of these, again, are interdisciplinary facilities. I'll give a lecture and then I'll go and talk to researchers in one of these facilities, walk to a different faculty and collaborate with them. We have immense opportunity and that infrastructure is a defining feature of the science at the Clayton campus. I just want to end with on a philosophical note. Do what you enjoy, whether it's stuff from my faculty or from any of the other wonderful faculties being represented today. Do what you enjoy, do what you're passionate about. My personal challenge to you is whatever you choose, with the knowledge that you get from your university training, my challenge to you is to make the world a better place for your having lived in it. Regarding science, science can open so many doors, and maybe one of you will win a Nobel Prize in future. Thank you.
Wow, David, thank you for that. I love the idea of some of the jobs that will exist in science don't even exist yet. When you think about the rate of change over the last 20, 30 years, that's so true. So you do need foundation skills that will withstand and set you up well for that kind of progress. I also love your philosophical ending about do what you love. I think that's very sound advice. Now, for those of you who have just joined us, please welcome to Monash Live Chat 2013. We've just heard from each of the faculty representatives from Monash Arts, Monash Engineering, IT and Science. Now don't forget to type your questions in the chat forum below. We've got a team of admissions experts standing by to answer them. If we don't get to your questions tonight, we will get to them over the coming days. Now, I just want to throw to our students. We've got two students here who are Leadership Scholarship recipients. They're both exceptional students, but they've also got some insights to offer about the student experience. We'll hear first from Dui Trong, followed by Harin Tenakun. They'll give you their #1 tip if you're an international student. Over to you, Dui.
Thank you, Tanya. Good evening, everyone. The #1 tip I would like to share today is be open. I read somewhere that life begins at the end of your comfort zone, and I totally agree with that. And I think that university is the best opportunity for you to try something new. So don't be afraid. Just make some new friends, try some new food, and maybe explore some new places. Like for me, I did a bit of Spanish. So I'm thinking of going exchange for Spain or some Latin American country because I want to explore more about Hispanic culture. And also, don't isolate yourself. Be open to new people because I can guarantee you that nobody can survive 3 or 4 years of university alone. And we all need help at some point, especially if you are an international student, because we are a long, long way from the loving embrace of our families. So build a network of friends who will be there for you and who will help you during hard times, because I think that hard times will come. And today, Harin and I will be very, very glad to be answering the questions.
Yeah, and my tip for students who will be living by themselves, because I'm an international student and I live in halls of residence at Clayton campus. For me, the #1 tip I can give is learn how to budget and probably practice and prepare before you come into Australia. The Australian guide for immigration, they say somewhere around $22,000 to $23,000 per year, and that's a rough place. That's a good place to start off for your living accommodation and extra expenditure, and then you can adjust accordingly. And especially in Melbourne, because there are so many great places to eat out, that's a big temptation for me, and that's where I tend to lose my budgeting a little bit. So learn to cook a little bit, and that should go a great way in you staying within your budget. And I look forward to answering any questions you have as this chat goes on.
Thanks a lot for that. I think you've both made some excellent points, and your point about you know, there will be highs and there will be some challenges as well. University is meant to challenge you, and it is important that you seek help. We've got fabulous support services for international students, and if anyone's needing to tap into some extra help, we have it available for them. Okay, now we're going to move to the second part of our proceedings. If you haven't already registered for Monash Live Chat, please do so now. Once you sign up, if you decide to submit an application, you'll be eligible for a fee waiver on your application fees. So just log in and post your questions now. Now, I'm going to move to the second part of our evening where our faculty representatives will be answering your questions live. So without further ado, I'll throw first to Associate Professor Mia Lindgren from the Faculty of Arts. Mia, please let us know what question you'd like to answer.
Thanks, Tanya, and you can call me Professor any day. I wanted to start by answering a question from Emily, who wanted to find out about courses in arts humanities after a poly degree in Singapore, and also a bit about career paths. And usually, if you have a poly diploma and you have an average GPA of 2.8 or higher, you can enter the arts faculty with 1 year academic credit. So you're commencing your studies in year 2 and completing your degree after 2 years instead of 3. And as I've mentioned before, there are lots of different majors. You can do over 40. And some of them are more vocational, like communications and journalism, for example, public relations. And in terms of career path, they're very broad, but I can say that about 85% of students are employed within 6 months of graduating. And they work in all different types of jobs, from government sector to corporate world, and really utilising either subject knowledge and I should say the capacity as communicators, researchers and independent thinkers.
Sorry for that, Mia. I forgot to unmute myself. It's very hard usually to keep me silent, but on this occasion I have been. So thank you for that answer to Emily's question. I'm sure that's a popular question amongst students in Singapore. We're now going to move to Dr. Chris Ryan. Chris has got a question that he'd also like to answer.
Thanks, Tanya. I've got a great question from Cham Shi Hui, who asks, I'd like to know about the aerospace engineering course that we provide here at Monash. So we provide a 4-year engineering course with aerospace, and we're going to teach you every aspect of how to develop and build the latest in aircraft design around the world. Everything from the aeronautics, which allows the aircraft to fly, to literally how to brake an aircraft, and also to do that whilst maintaining the most efficient propulsion available in the world right now. So we teach you materials engineering. It may surprise you to know that the Airbus A380 is the first commercial large aircraft to use completely composite components in its wings, and that's meant that it's much, much lighter whilst also being much, much larger than competing aircraft. So it's far more efficient than previous aircraft. We're going to teach you propulsion. You know, the 787 Dreamliner has jet aircraft engines which are 10% more fuel efficient than the 747. And that makes a significant saving for aviation companies around the world, and we're always trying to make our aircraft ever more efficient. We're going to teach you fluid dynamics, allowing you to understand novel ideas of flight, and then dynamics and control. It's all very well to be able to build an aircraft which can fly, but how do you make sure it stays in the air? And more importantly, how can you actually control that remotely? It's an area of very great interest right now, and we can teach you all of that. What we do with all of these different disciplines, though, is we teach you design. So we get all of these disciplines, we put them together, and we make sure that you can use each of those components together in a cohesive manner to be able to design the best aircraft you possibly can. So as I said, it's a 4-year degree. We do offer research areas in aerospace engineering as well. We've got some of the finest aerospace engineers as researchers with us here at Monash. And so at the end of your course, in your final year, you can also do a research project in an area of interest to you with an academic of your choice.
Okay, thank you for that, Chris. That's a fascinating exploration of what's involved in aerospace engineering. I learned a few things myself. Now we're going to pass to Campbell Wilson from the Faculty of IT. He'll be picking up on a question that he'd like to answer.
Thanks, Tanya. I've got a question from Adrian Vu. It's quite a general question, but I see that Adrian's also on the live chat now and made his question more specific, so I can address it there as well. He was interested to find out more about postgraduate studies in the Faculty of IT. And we've got a suite of new master's degrees that we're offering from next year. We've changed our master's degrees significantly. Essentially what we do have now is a Master of Information Technology for the more technical side of IT, the traditional computer science and more technology-oriented side of IT. We have a Master of Business Information Systems, which covers the commercial side of IT. We also have a Master of Networks and Security on an area of IT that is attracting a lot of interest now, which is the area of information security. And one of the features of our master's degrees is that they, apart from the Master of Networks and Security, they offer what we call cognate and non-cognate entry, which essentially means that you can enter either of the Master of IT or the Master of Business Information Systems degrees with a degree in IT or with a degree in another discipline. The difference being that if you have a degree in a discipline other than IT, you would need to do some foundation units to make up that base sort of IT qualification. And if I could just pick up on Adrian's specific question, which I can see on the live chat window. Adrian, it looks as though you have a degree in information systems. So the Master of Business Information Systems, which Loy has already suggested to you, would be the appropriate course. And just briefly, for those interested in that course, there are foundation units in information systems and programming and database. There are elective units. Typically, they would cover project management, enterprise systems, enterprise architecture, etc. And in all our master's degrees, we have an option now of work experience, which is industrial experience, or research, depending on which way you want to go post your master's. There is a thesis option. So that's my quick answer about postgraduate studies for now. And hopefully, Adrian, that's helped to answer your question.
Wow, I hope you found that very helpful, Adrian. I'm going to pass now to Associate Professor David Paganan. David, have you got a question that you'd like to answer?
Absolutely. I've got an excellent question which asks, is there any way I can transfer to medicine after my first year with a relevant science degree as a foundation? As an answer, I'd say it's possible to apply for a medicine course, but only after completing a full undergraduate degree and not as a transfer. And for entry requirements and prerequisites for medicine, please contact the Faculty of Medicine. I'd also say, to reiterate something I said earlier, it's very important to do what you're passionate about. Now, many who do science as a stepping stone towards a medical degree actually find their career path in science. They actually begin with it as a stepping stone to medicine and end up loving what they're doing within that science degree. And there are many pathways within science which these students can become hooked on, such as biomedicine, for example, which is taken within the science degree. But areas such as physics, I'm a physicist, and I work with people in medicine, collaborating, for example, on lung imaging and blood imaging with people in medicine and also engineering. The point being that physics can have some overlap with medicine, chemistry has overlap with medicine, biological sciences has overlap with medicine, mathematics has overlap with medicine. So there are actually many medical pathways within science itself. I'd be very wary of doing a science degree purely as a stepping stone to another degree. I think you should do what you love and what you're passionate about. If you really want to do medicine and you're worried about not getting in, get up an hour earlier each day, get up 2 hours earlier each day, put in the study, the discipline and the effort that will get you into the degree that you want. Thank you. Excellent question.
Thanks very much for that, David. I think that that's true, that sometimes you can start on a journey intending one kind of thing and find yourself completely absorbed in that path and leading somewhere completely unexpected, but also very exciting. So thank you for that. One question's just come in from Khalilatul Hanisa, and it says, do you recommend staying at the Monash hostel or rent outside if you are an international student? I'm going to ask Dewey to speak first to that, because he does live off campus, and we've already heard from Harin about the life on, oh no, we will be hearing from Harin about life on campus shortly. So Dewey, can you elaborate on that, please?
Thank you, Nadia. That's a very good question. To me, it depends on the person, because if you would like to have more direct contact with other students, then I think that Monash Hostel is the correct place for you, because you will interact with students every day, and you can join in activities or clubs or societies more easily, because the Monash Hostel is very close to the campus, so you won't miss any lectures. And for me personally, I rent out outside because I think that suits me more. It allows me more flexibility, and I have more freedom, so to speak. But I should remind you that whether you are staying at a hostel or outside, it doesn't matter, because the activities of the clubs and societies at Monash will keep you busy all time, and every opportunity is open to international students. So you should not worry too much about living inside, on campus or off campus. There's not a very big difference. Yes.
Thanks for that, Dewey. I can also reassure anyone who's considering living off campus that Melbourne is, I think, the largest city in Australia for international students. So wherever you live, you won't be very far from others who are sharing your experience. And there are many Singaporeans in Melbourne, so you'll always find someone who understands where you have come from and what you're facing. Okay, now we're going to go through the question and answers again, and we'll start again with Associate Professor Mia Lindgren.
Thank you. I wanted to answer a question that we often get, and it's about why you might want to study at Monash instead of studying at Melbourne University, for example, at least if we were talking about here in Melbourne. And I guess the biggest difference really is the flexibility and the variety that we offer in arts here at Monash. Monash is a group of 8. We call it that, which kind of indicates that it's part of the old sandstone, or it's part of a group that has the older sandstone universities, and it's ranked as the top universities in Australia, and also, sorry, Monash is ranked amongst the top 100 universities in the world. We also have a very strong research record which informs our teaching in the arts faculty. So that would be another reason why you might choose to come to us. Also, I think it might be worth remembering that you have the opportunity to study also at 2 of our offshore campuses in Malaysia and South Africa, and also I've talked about our study centre in Prato, Italy, which we're very proud of, or through one of our exchange partners that we have situated around the world, about 120 or so partners. So that's some of the reasons why you might be considering doing arts at Monash. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Mia. And I think you were telling me before we went live that arts has 40 areas of specialisation. So that's pretty wide and pretty flexible. Okay, for those of you who have just joined us but have yet to register, please register now and give us your questions below via instant chat. We're here to answer them. And also remember that if you register for the event tonight, you'll be eligible for a waiver on your application fee if you decide to come and study with us. So to register, just hit the login button. Okay, we're now going to move again to engineering. Chris, another question from you.
Thanks, Tanya. You know, expanding on the previous answer and the previous part, we've got this great question from Yu Chia Don, who asks, engineering is offered in universities all around the globe. What does Monash University have to offer that's so special that it produces a couple of the best engineers ever seen? And of course, you might be referring to the fact that two of the last two, in fact, Rhodes Scholars from Victoria have both come from Monash University and engineering and are now continuing their studies at Oxford University. And I've had the great pleasure of being able to teach both of them. They're fantastic students to have. You know, Monash Engineering is one of the top engineering courses in Australia. It's one of the largest and most diverse faculties that we have here. And recently, the Times Higher Education ranked us as one of the top 50 engineering courses worldwide. And the reason that they've done that, I think, is because in a course, a university course, you typically have a very hands-on type approach to learning, project-oriented learning, or a highly theoretical approach to learning. And what we find is if there's too much theory, you're not work ready. If there's too much practical application, then it means that you may not be able to move up through your industrial placements to where you'd like to be in a few years' time. What we do is we mix the two together, so it's a real mix of hands-on learning and also theory. And that's just in the engineering degree. Remember, across all of Monash, we're very proud of the double degree options that we have, which allow you that breadth of knowledge that you can gain. One of the things that differentiates us from other universities in Australia and indeed around the world is that we require at least 12 weeks of industry experience that you will have in industry, typically in Australia, and certainly in an engineering environment. And as part of that, you have to report back to us so that we can ensure that it's the type of quality that we expect from all of our graduates. Once you, one of the things that when you leave Monash, you'll find that companies want not just your academic transcript to say, is this someone that we would like to employ? They're also going to be very interested in what extracurricular activities you've conducted whilst you've been at university to show that you're very engaged in wanting to be part of the workforce. Our faculty provides a number of world-renowned extracurricular activities. The one that I'd like to spend most time on, though, is the LIGHT program. That's the Leadership in a Technological Environment program. We invite our top-ranking students in engineering, about 80 per year, to undertake this, and it's a 3-year course which is outside of the engineering course that we typically have. It's run in evenings. We ask entrepreneurs from around Australia and indeed around the world to challenge our students, to ask our students what is it that we are looking for when they graduate. What type of business sense do we want from them? What kind of interpersonal skills do we want? And it's a fantastic course. It's got the ability to, well, in fact, part of it is that you can go on a camp with some of your academics and also some of the entrepreneurs and really learn what it is that you're going to need to know once you get into industry. We also offer summer research scholarships. We pay you on a weekly basis to come and work with us and work with some of our leading researchers in laboratories, typically in your second and third year over that summer break. We also have job-ready linkages, so it links industry with our students, and this can be something as simple as a 3-minute quick discussion with 20 different employees, so you might have 3-minute discussions with each of those employers, and so you can learn what it is that they're looking for in a graduate and also make some great networking links. Now, the one thing that I'll say is that we have a wonderful array of student clubs and societies. Indeed, we have over 100 here at Monash. And these clubs and societies offer you the opportunity not just to enjoy yourself, but really to contribute to life at Monash. That's a fantastic thing to be able to add to your resume. one of the fantastic groups that we do have is Engineers Without Borders, and they are using engineering skills to be able to help people, typically in developing countries, to be able to create a better society for themselves and those around them. And we actually send out some of our students to help design solutions for them. It's a really exciting clubs and society that you could potentially join if you would like to. One of the things that we're very excited about at the minute is working with industry to not just have 1 or 2 students going off to work with industry, but actually getting industry to come to Monash with a project that they need answered, and then we get a team of diverse students together to be able to solve that problem. So we might get 4 or 5 engineering students from diverse disciplines to work together to solve a problem over about 12 weeks. We have a number of companies who are very interested in working with us right now, and we're very excited about this new opportunity. Thanks.
Thanks for that, Chris. I think that Monash lends itself very well to multidisciplinary study because of the sheer breadth of courses that we offer. So let's turn now to the Faculty of IT. Let's hear from Dr. Campbell-Wilson. A question from you, Dr. Campbell-Wilson.
Thanks, Tanya. I'm going to pick up a question that just came in from Cara just 1 minute ago, actually, about bank-related IT jobs. And Cara is wondering if she will get a chance to intern there when she studies at Monash doing an IT course. And the answer to that is possibly yes. It gives me a chance to talk about our industry-based learning program that we have as part of our undergraduate degrees. And this industry-based learning program is an internship. They're available for international students. These internships are subject to students passing an interview with our industry partners. It's quite a competitive entry into the internship. These internships are paid. They're 6-month placements, and they're certainly not placements where you're working in an organisation making the coffee and doing the photocopying. It's certainly not the case. I visited many students on site, and they're working at very high levels within these organisations. And the question is specifically about banks. And our industry partners include 2 of the largest Australian banks, ANZ and National Australia Bank, who have their headquarters in Melbourne. And they do take a lot of our industry-based learning students. So the answer, Cara, certainly is a possible yes. If you get through the interview and you impress our industry partners, absolutely you will get the chance possibly to intern with the bank and have that credited towards your course, and in fact be paid at the same time. So yes.
Thanks for that, Campbell. I'm sure that internships are very hotly contested, but the outcomes for those who do graduate with an internship opportunity are usually very good.
Absolutely.
So we have some additional time, so we're going to go back to Mia and have another question related to the Faculty of Arts. I'd also like to remind you that if you haven't already logged in to ask your questions, we're standing by waiting for your questions now. So please send us whatever question you have, whatever it relates to, whether it's related to the faculty that is present or whether it's about the student experience. Thanks very much. And over to you, Mia.
Thank you. I am going to answer a question from Tan Yi Ting, which is about a postgraduate to master's program and the requirements that we have for a Master of Mass Communication. We call it a Master of Communications and Media Studies, and it usually takes 1.5 years, although there is a review at the moment looking at the duration of master's programs. So in some cases, students might take 2 years to do a master's degree. And students must have completed an undergraduate degree, not necessarily in that area, but with an average of 2.8 GPA. And the postgraduate degrees are often an interesting way for you to think about changing a career path. That's what we find, and I can talk just to take the opportunity to talk just a tiny bit about one of our postgraduate degrees, a Master in Journalism, for example, where a lot of students, again, do double degrees with, for example, international relations or business. And many of the master's degrees tend to be more vocational, so people come in and they might have done another undergraduate degree, but they've decided that now they want to do communications or they want to do journalism, and that's what they target, and that will set it up. And it has quite a focus on a lot of practical skills and exercises with industry in mind and projects, but always, of course, as was pointed out earlier by one of my colleagues, that you can't just do practice. Even in a vocational degree, you always need to have a theoretical context so you actually understand where all the practice sits. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Mia. I've just discovered that I overlooked Associate Professor David Paganin, who also has a question that he is keen to answer. David, over to you.
It's all good. There's a question from Cedric Lim, which came in about a minute ago. Cedric asks, do you offer forensic science? If I want to do forensic science, is there a suitable course? Now, to answer that, I'd say that Monash only offers Master of Forensic Medicine through the Faculty of Medicine. However, it's possible to study related disciplines such as chemistry, developmental biology, genetics, and biochemistry through the Bachelor of Science. Excellent question, Cedric.
Okay, thank you for that, David. And now we'll go to Chris. Chris, do you have another question that you'd like to answer for the audience, please?
I got a great question, thanks very much, Tanya, from Kalalutul Hanisha, who asked, is there any double degrees in the biotechnology field, and what are the advantages of pursuing a double degree in general? I'd like to start just with the question about biotechnology. Whilst there's a single degree in biotechnology, we also have double degrees with the Bachelor of Biomedical Science and the Bachelor of Engineering. As you've been hearing from many of us here this evening, there's a great crossover from our different disciplines, engineering, IT, and science, for example, but even through areas of arts and law. And biotechnology is one of those cross-interdisciplinary areas. I know that David and I both do research in bioengineering, where we're trying to work out how the human body works and how we can make it that little bit better. So we do provide undergraduate courses that allow you to learn about biotechnology and also learn about engineering, and that's true also in science as well. The second part of the question is, what's the advantages of pursuing a double degree? Well, I look at it in two ways. I often think that we typically tend to be at university just once, and we can sit there and say, look, I really love one part of my degree, and that might be the career choice that I have, but I've always had a yearning to be able to do the other part or something else in my degree as well. And certainly I find that with engineering and science, for example, so many of our students do engineering because they can see that's where they'd like to go for their career path, perhaps. Some make changes at the end of their course, but they'd also like to learn about science. So, for example, many of our students do astronomy as their double degree with engineering because they've always been fascinated with it, and we have a very strong astronomy group here at Monash University. So these double degrees, they can also, that's one reason that you would want to do it, is just to get the best you can out of the university. But also, the other thing that you might want to choose is perhaps well, I'll give an example of commerce and engineering, where you can see that those two double degree components work together in industry so that you can have that edge when you get into industry. And you can make a decision about whether you then want to specialise more on the commercial side of working in the business world, or more on the engineering side. So typically, those double degrees allow you to really implement both sides of the double degree to get that edge in industry. Thanks, Tanya.
Thanks for that, Chris. Campbell, it's now your turn to answer a question that you've identified.
Sure, thank you. I had a question that asked what are some of the interesting projects that IT students might work on during their studies in IT? And the answer to that is that IT students typically encounter a number of interesting projects during their study, from very small projects to very large and extensive projects. Often you will find as a student that during your unit you will be working on small IT case studies, typically in groups of students during a particular subject. But in addition to that, all of our final year students will do a significant group project as part of their industrial experience. And that project actually lasts for the entire year. The students work in groups of 4 or 5 students. They're assigned an academic supervisor, and importantly, they work with a real client external to Monash. And the idea of that project is to develop skills in analysing the requirements of people that need IT systems built for them, building the system, of course, documenting the system, testing the system, making sure that it meets the user's needs. And along the way, students in these projects learn a lot more than just the technical skills. Of course, students get to learn more about programming and systems analysis and database implementations, but as much as anything, these projects are about learning teamwork and learning about communication within those teams. So there are a number of projects, as I said, that students will encounter. I could talk also a little bit about research projects for students that are doing master's courses or honours courses. There are some very interesting IT projects that students will get to work on. The faculty has very broad research, and I can just maybe mention a couple of interesting things. Some of our researchers are working with the Victorian Department of Transport to minimise urban congestion through optimisation algorithms. Another team is developing swarm robots in conjunction actually with the Faculty of Engineering to aid in disaster management, environmental monitoring and various exploration tasks. We've got students that are working with algorithms that can help model bushfire risk, which is a significant disaster risk in Australia and many other areas. We've got people working on the social informatics side of IT who are helping to ease the digital divide for Indigenous Australians and to help with digital archiving of Indigenous history. So there's some really interesting stuff happening there. Also, we've got teams that are working on the artistic and multimedia side of IT. We have people that are building touch screens and using touch feedback technologies to give blind people access to graphics. One of our researchers created software called Nodal, which is a new way of creating computer music, which won a prize called the Eureka Prize in Australia, which is one of the top science prizes here. And our students get to work on these projects. So there's some really, really exciting stuff in terms of projects that IT students can work on at Monash.
Thanks for that, Campbell. I'm going to turn to David again, and then we'll also hear again from our 2 students. So, David, a question from you.
I've got a long question, an excellent one, but a long one. We're asked, I see that all the science courses are lumped under the Bachelor of Science. How does it work if I'm just interested in physics? Do I have to study all the different science subjects? And when will the course start to focus on physics? Will my certificate indicate just a Bachelor of Science? Or will it actually indicate physics? Now, to answer this multi-part and excellent question, like the facets of a diamond, the Bachelor of Science offers a whole range of areas to specialise in. These are called majors, and you can choose to specialise in 1 or 2 areas within the science degree. Now, if you're interested in physics, it must be combined with studies in mathematics. Mathematics is very much the language of physics, and you need to study mathematics
Thanks very much for that, David.
At a serious level, first level 1 and level 2, in order to major in physics.
Okay, thank you, David. I just wanted to share an experience that I had going through the New Horizons building the other day with relationship to the fundamental aspect of mathematics. I was walking through the New Horizons building, which is the new science building, glamorous new building on campus, and I was completely amazed by all the mathematic formulas that were up on every single surface that I could see in the building. And the building's quite nice because it's transparent and it kind of reveals all of that beautiful work and all of those beautiful minds that are at work around the same problems. So for those of you who are really keen on mathematics, I think you'll find yourself in very fine company here at Monash. So I'm now going to give a question to Harin. We've had a question come in about accommodation on campus, and I think, Harin, you live on campus and that you are able to answer this with a great deal of experience. So over to you, Harin.
Yeah, I got a question from Anthony asking what Monash students who live on campus do during their leisure time, and is it socially and academically fulfilling? And my answer to that is yes. One of the best decisions I've made was to live on campus, because leisure-wise, there are so many different things you can do. I mean, there's the Monash Sports Center right next to the halls. There's the Oval, basketball courts, every sport pretty much, because Melbourne and Australia in general is very big on sports. So there's all that to do during your leisure time. Or if you're like me, a really good way to meet people is by living on campus, because I was an international student, and when I came here, none of my close friends came to Monash with me, so I met most of my friends by going to the games room at the hall where I live in, and they have pools, they have a PlayStation there, they have TV, so a great place for you to meet friends. And watching movies is generally a good way to meet people, or playing sports. So living on campus socially, it's been very good, and academically, I've been able to make friends with third and fourth years who've been giving me advice, and especially during exam times, I'd go to their place and they'd help me out with studies as well. So if that's something, if you're thinking about staying on campus, I'd strongly suggest it. And even if you can't, Monash does have other places like the Orion College, where for people who don't live on campus, it gives you the feel of living on campus. So it's another great way to get in touch with people and to quickly meet friends and settle into uni. So, yeah.
And Harin, can I just ask you one more question? I think one of the things you said that you've had to do more of since you arrived is to learn how to cook. Is that right?
Yes. That when I first came to Australia, I didn't really know how to cook, so I used to blow my budget by eating out quite a bit. But since then, living on campus helped as well, because I had a couple of friends who used to cook, and first few weeks I would usually be the one washing the dishes, but slowly they taught me how to cook, and now I could stay within my budget because I go grocery shopping, and that's helped quite a bit as well. So learn to cook. That's a good tip.
Well, there's another soft skill that you'll be acquiring at Monash, completely. Not one we publish in our brochures, but that's fantastic. Harin and Doi, can you just also tell us about what your experience has been in terms of the public transport and getting around? I think that's probably a question that's on many students' minds. Maybe let's start with you, Harin. You've been here longer,
okay.
So you.
Yeah, there's what we call a Mikey card, and using that card, you just put money into that, and every time you get into a bus, a tram, or a train, you just tap on the card. When you get off, there's a machine at the door. Just tap off. As long as you have money, you can travel within Melbourne. And everything's online. There are apps so you can figure out when the buses and the trains come to the exact minute, more or less. So you don't have to worry if you don't. You don't have to worry if you don't have a car, so because there's public transport. So just get the Mikey card and tap in and tap off. That's it. Sort of like the Singapore system.
Oh, good. And Doi, what's been your experience of getting around? You're a little bit newer, so.
Thank you. I've been in Melbourne for less than 3 months, but I think the transportation system is very convenient. Like today, I got from the campus to the zoo, which is at the other half of the city, but it took me only half an hour to go there by train. So I think it's really convenient and very efficient. And like Harriet said, we here use something like a card that you can tap in and tap out. I think that's how you use in Singapore. Like the MRT card is very efficient and it's very quick. So to sum up, I think that the transport system here is very great to move around, and you don't actually need a car. Yeah, you can get around anywhere, anytime.
Well, yeah, that's great. And for those of you who don't know, we also have a shuttle bus that regularly transports students between the Caulfield and Clayton campuses. In fact, I think it does also visit our other campuses as well. We also have an after-hours security campus bus, which means that if you're on campus after hours and you need to get to a location, you can call them up and they'll come and collect you and deposit you to your door. So we're very concerned about safety on campus, and that's one small thing that Monash does to address that issue. Okay, back to our faculty representatives. I've got one more last question from Associate Professor Mia Lindgren. Let's pass to you.
Thank you, and I just thought that I might take the opportunity to talk about what we might call the elephant in the room, which is the very famous Melbourne weather. And I used to work at Murdoch University in Perth, where we had a lot of students from Singapore. It's often described as one of the biggest universities in Singapore, but of course in Australia. And we talked a lot about weather with our students. Now, I know that Melbourne is well known for being very changeable, and that's a really good thing to remember, that if it starts raining, it will actually change very quickly and become sunny. But I also wanted to just say that Melbourne is a great city to live in, and to add to the stories that you've heard from the students, because I think that's actually a really important aspect of choosing a university, where you want to be, and to be in a city that is ranked to be the most livable city in the world. Anyway, that was a bit of a sideline. Now, I got a question from Elliot Wong about how the arts degree at Monash is different from other universities. And we've mentioned that a little bit already tonight with the flexibility, but I just wanted to take the opportunity, I guess, again to say that in a world where we don't actually know exactly what types of jobs will be required in the future, and with technology changing so quickly, and as we know, especially in my field, the media, it's just speeding along, and it's quite an exciting ride. And in my mind, it's absolutely clear that you're better off thinking about a broad education, which in many cases will include, for example, a double degree or at least a double major, because you're much better off having two sets of skills than just one, and it just gives you a greater range of employment opportunities, really. You know, a Bachelor of Engineering, and my colleagues across the different faculties have talked about this already. A Bachelor of Engineering and a BA, for example, might allow a qualified engineer to be fluent in other languages, or a Bachelor of Business and BA would have marketing and communication skills. You know, you could combine a Bachelor of Science with journalism. So the idea of actually having more than just one area of expertise would be my recommendation for the future. Thank you.
Yes, I fully agree with you, Mia. And listen, as someone who regularly goes through CVs in selecting people for my team, I think communication skills are absolutely fundamental, regardless of the discipline you study. And you can get those from various kinds of things. A lot of the speakers have mentioned the extra activities, the sports, the hobbies. We have such a wide range available here at Monash, and the thing is that you do get a lot of additional skills from those sorts of extracurricular activities. But again, I'm echoing Mia's point that communication skills are absolutely fundamental in business, regardless of which discipline you study. So we're going to be passing now to Dr. Chris Ryan. Chris, again, a question from you.
Thanks, Tanya. You know, before I get to my question, I just wanted to echo some of the thoughts about Melbourne, because I've lived here my entire life, and there's three things that I think make Melbourne a fantastic place to live. We're very famous for the different variety of food that we have from right around the world. World-class food here. It's fantastic to be able to go out and just eat whatever you want. The other thing that we're famous for is our sports. We really love sports, and in fact, I'm sure many of you would already realise that the entire city of Melbourne pretty much shuts down for a horse race in November, and we think that that's a fantastic thing. We love our sports here. And the third thing that we're famous for is our arts. We have various arts coming from around the world, just to be able to display here in Melbourne. So you really do have the world at your fingertips when you do come to live in Melbourne. You know, I had a question from Nurul Amira, who said, look, what happens if at the end of first year, or at the end of maybe even second year, I've decided that I want to change my discipline of engineering, and I wanted to broaden that a little bit more, because you don't just have to make a decision right now and that's it for 3, 4 or 5 years. If you find at the end of your first year of your course here at Monash and you're doing reasonably well, we can help you transfer to a course that you prefer. Now, I'd like to echo David's comments, which when he said, look, you really should try from the outset to choose the course that you want to do. But we all from time to time realise that we make mistakes, and at Monash we accept that, and we make it as easy as we possibly can, not only to transfer from one course to another, but also to see what advanced standing, what credit we can give you for the work that you've already done here at Monash. Within engineering, if you wanted to transfer within engineering, well, as I said, we have our common first year to start with, so you do have that informed choice for engineering. But even at the end of second year, if you realise, well, I've made a horrible mistake, I've been doing civil and I'd like to do materials engineering or mechanical engineering, fantastic, we can make that happen for you. We do have to work out some units that you would have to catch up on, some information that you would have to learn about, so that you can catch up with the rest of the group. But apart from that, we can make that transfer possible. Thanks, Tanya.
Sorry, I both unmuted and unvisioned myself there, so I do apologise. I'm been practicing, but sometimes you've got butterfingers. So, Campbell, let's hear from you and a question from one of our students on IT.
Okay, thanks, Tanya. I had a question which allows me to actually echo elements of the previous two speakers, in particular Chris. Question is, I would like to combine electrical engineering modules with IT modules in my course. Can this be done? And this brings us back to the concept of flexibility of Monash degrees that we've been discussing quite a bit tonight. Certainly all of the undergraduate degrees in the Faculty of IT allow students to take electives outside of the faculty, and that will generally be the case across Monash, in fact. The issue there is that you just need to make sure that you meet the prerequisite requirements for any electives in the other faculty that you wish to enrol in. And I'm sure it's the case that in an engineering degree you could include some IT electives as well, subject to meeting those prerequisites. And just to pick up on what Chris was talking about in terms of flexibility of degree choice after you start at Monash, the Faculty of IT also has a common core set of units, which makes it very easy to move between our 4 degrees after the first year. So we also offer that flexibility. So answering that question just allows me to reflect again on the massive range of flexible choices that you have at Monash. Thanks, Tanya.
Great, thank you for that, Campbell. I think that the flexibility is a key difference that Monash offers. You can basically study as broad as you like or as deep as you like. You can study broad and deep if you like. So there's lots of different choices available. Now, lastly, we're going to turn to David once more from Faculty of Science. And David, I'm not sure if you want to answer a question here, or maybe just maybe another philosophical point.
Maybe I'll do both simultaneously and maybe throw a story in as well. Here's my Mikey card, by the way. I travel on public transport as well. Excellent question. Do I get the chance to do research as an undergraduate, say during vacation or as part of a final year project? The answer is absolutely yes, that you can have research projects in different science areas available mostly at the 3rd year level, also during the vacation period. In many respects, research is the culmination, the logical culmination of your studies. Again, whether it's science or more broadly, you go from learning about the wonderful things that others have done and others have discovered to discovering new things, whether it's in science or engineering or IT or arts or medicine or whatever. Research is about answering questions that no one has ever answered before, making use of that fundamental knowledge that you have from whatever degree you choose. And that joy of discovery, I can't get across how beautiful that is. Those equations scribbled over all the windows in the New Horizons building of physicists and mathematicians and engineers. The joy of discovery, they start writing their equations and diagrams on the windows because there's no other space to write it, and you see this text of all these equations, this residue of all these beautiful research discussions scribbled all over the windows like graffiti, except this is a graffiti of discovery, the joy of discovery from research. But one last thing, we're so free. We've spoken a lot about the connections between our various areas. I collaborate with people in science as a researcher. I collaborate with people in information technology, with people in engineering. I've collaborated with people in arts as well. I love the freedom to be able to collaborate with so many people, so many areas as a knowledge worker, as a scientist, and also internationally, the skills that you get equipped with in a Monash degree allow you to work with people nationally, but much more importantly, internationally, and that's a beautiful thing. Thank you.
Thank you for that, David. Again, a beautiful philosophical answer to a lovely question. So I wanted to now pass to Chris Ryan to answer a question that's just come in regarding PhDs in engineering, and then we'll hear some more from our students.
Thanks, Tanya. I think some of the conversation that David's been having on the love of research has rubbed off on Mel Reed, who's asked what the entry requirement is for a PhD in engineering, and in particular, does it require work experience? Well, we require our students to have completed an undergraduate degree in engineering in order to be able to qualify to be able to do the PhD. So that will require you to have done quite well in your undergraduate. It's a fairly competitive entry requirement to get into the PhD. I'll talk about that in a second. But the second thing with the work experience, if I cover that first, for our undergraduate degree, we do require 12 weeks of work experience. So to complete that undergraduate degree, we want you to do that. Then, if you wanted to continue on and do a PhD, well, we need you to have done quite well in your studies at the undergraduate level. So typically, we'd need an average mark, we call it a weighted average mark, but an average mark about 75% across all of the undergraduate units that you complete with us. At the end of that, though, you typically find that a number of our students, I've mentioned that there are design and research projects towards the end of the undergraduate degree. Using that, you get to meet some of the top researchers in our faculty, and see the kind of work that they do. And I'm sure, as David has already discussed with us all this evening, that really does inspire us not only to be able to do work in strictly an engineering application, but something which is typically multidisciplinary. It involves not only engineering, but science and IT and often arts as well, just to name 3 other faculties. So certainly at the conclusion of your undergraduate degree, we have a number of our students who continue on with us to continue with their PhD. Thanks, Tanya.
Great, thank you for that, Chris. Now, we're going to hear again from Haran and Doi. I want to ask you both, and we'll start with Doi this time. What's your favourite thing that you've discovered about Melbourne? What's your favourite thing to do when you have some spare time? I know that you're both studying very diligently, but hopefully you do make time for yourself to get out and have some fun.
Okay, let's see. For me, something I love to do in Melbourne is to go for a walk. Like today the weather is exceptionally good, and I just went out for a walk with some friends, and we chatted a little bit, and we talked about academic life as well as our life. And I think it's a good thing to do in Melbourne, because Melbourne has many great streets, many great areas where the view is just fantastic, and it's almost spring right now, so you have a great view of the nature as well, because Melbourne, there are a lot of trees in Melbourne, and the parks are absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and then for me, the last trip I went on was probably the Great Ocean Drive, which is a really great place, you guys. When you do come to Monash, it's some place that you should go to. And one of the Australian things to do, I guess, would be to surf. I'm not a very good surfer, but I did enjoy just going for a swim and then watching everyone else surf. It really is a great place to go to when you guys do come over to Melbourne. And there's also the Botanic Gardens in Melbourne City for anyone who's interested with things like that. And generally, just the international exposure here that you can get. There's so many different places you can have any type of food, and there are so many great restaurants. So for me, that's been like the highlight of Melbourne life.
And you both mentioned clubs and societies before, and I'm just out of interest, I'm wondering if you belong to any clubs or societies.
Yeah, Monash has a couple of, the ones organized by Monash Uni are, there's one for the Engineering Society and the Commerce Society, and I'm part of those two, and they organize social events for you to get to know the people that you're going to be studying with for the next couple of years. Mm-hmm. And also academically, they have cocktail events where you can meet hiring managers from all the top firms. So that's a great way to get to know hiring managers and make contacts. So which is great for our professional life as well.
Fantastic. And what about you, Doi?
I'm currently in the committee of the Vietnamese Student Club at Monash, and we organize events, and we just had an event to celebrate the full moon last week. And we had a lot of food fairs and games and performances. There were around 200 visitors, and it was an absolutely amazing experience for me, because I get to be involved in a lot of events and managing things, doing logistics, and it keeps my student life very active and involved. Yes.
Okay, I just want to ask you another question. Tell me, what's the main difference between the way you're being taught in the classroom now and the experience that you had at school in your home countries?
For me, the main difference between school and uni life is that lecturers aren't going to chase you around asking for things. So you really do have to be self-motivated. And in Monash especially, most of the lectures, depending on which course you take, are recorded, so you can go back and watch them if you miss anything. So it's up to you when you do your assignments. So if you can manage your time, then you'll have a great life, socially and academically. If you can find that balance, then you really will have a great life. But it takes a bit of getting used to. But once you do get used to it, you're really going to have a fun time. especially in a place where I can do so many things.
To me, the greatest difference between high school and university is that you have to keep track of a lot of things, because right now I have academics and I have my extracurricular activities going on. So there are a lot of things you have to keep your mind on, and if you start losing the track, it will snowball and you will be a lot of trouble at the end of the semester. So you need self-discipline, a lot of self-discipline, and you need self-motivation as well to keep you through stressful times. And it's usually said that the best thing about uni is that you can skip lecture, but the worst thing about uni is that also you can skip lecture, so you have to be very, very self-disciplined. Yeah.
Yes, I think that the self-discipline element is a key one, and getting yourself organised is absolutely a key to success. Tell me, I just wanted to ask you one question. Are the lectures, are you finding the lectures a little bit more interactive than you expected, or that's probably a leading question, but tell us about your initial reaction on your first lecture, perhaps.
For me, it was probably that the lecture sizes are quite big. I mean, the classes in my school used to be somewhere around 20, and those are generally a tutorial size. So in a lecture, you have the lecturer talking in front of lecture theater, and tutorials are when you get your one-on-one interaction. So in the lecture, you'd learn something. I'm an engineering and commerce student, so I'd learn a concept or a theory, and the lecturer would go through something, an example, and then the next day or a couple of days after that, then you have the tutorial, when you get questions, and then you can answer them, and then get one-on-one help from tutors. So that was a different experience. I mean, it wasn't like in school when you just had a small classroom, the teacher taught something, then came back to, and then you could ask them questions. It was a bit different.
Hence the need to be self-organised, I guess, so that you turn up for your tutorial. And what about you, Dewey?
For me, my experience about lectures is a bit different, because my lecturers are a bit more interactive, I guess. Especially for my philosophy class, we often have debates inside the lectures, and we can just raise questions or objections to the lecturer. He is very, very open, and he's very encouraging in that respect, because philosophy is all about ideas and how well we defend our ideas. So I think discussion in lectures is a very good way to improve our thinking.
And how did you feel the first time you had to challenge your lecturer or debate your lecturer?
Well, it was very a very scary thing to even think about it, but to be able to defend yourself is a very, very important skill that you will have to pick up in the arts degree. And when I first challenged my lecturer, he was very, very happy that I asked a question that contradicted his opinion, and he also explained it. He explained his perspective, and he also went on and talked about my perspective a bit. So he deepened my understanding of the subject.
Yeah. I think that was one of my biggest discoveries when I got to university, was that that it was okay to have a different opinion as long as you could defend it and argue it well. So I think you're discovering that that's a unique part. Now, I wonder if I can throw to Chris for a couple of additional comments about engineering.
You know, we've heard from Harin about what it's like to be an engineering student. In fact, Harin, you're one of my students. I can tell you right now that in my lecture theatre, I have 300 students at once, and trying to get all of the students engaged and excited about the topic at hand is something that I'm always battling with. So one of the things that you'll often find lecturers will do is try and make the class as interactive as possible. We'll get the students to talk with each other and then collectively come up with an idea or an answer to the question that's being posed. But really, as Harin has said, it's those practice classes, those tutorials, where I get to know the students and I get to work one-on-one with them. And it's not just myself who will run a unit. it's always going to be a group of postgraduate students helping us out by being demonstrators. So when our students are getting lost, you're always going to find that whenever you're approaching a question for the first time, it's quite difficult. So then we have our demonstrators, and they're all postgraduate PhD students, coming around not only helping the undergraduate students so that you can see how it is that you're meant to approach a problem, but also talking more broadly. I'm teaching into first year right now, and one of the questions that I'm always getting is, where to now? What's the next step that I should take with my course and also my career? And we always have that with our practice classes and more broadly through the lecturer as well.
That's fantastic, Chris, and yes, it's great to have an interactive relationship with your lecturer. I think it helps with the learning and to make things really sink in. We're also going to hear from David about his thoughts on this issue.
So I'd like to give you two quick stories, because we're talking a lot about the experience of being on campus, and two stories I'd like to share. The first is the first time I walked into a science library. I thought that I knew most mathematics that existed, most physics that existed, and I walked into the science library and suddenly there was whole shelves of topics that I had never even heard of, and I'd opened the books and I couldn't understand a single word or a single equation in them. And in that moment I suddenly realised how vast the amount of knowledge is and how little I actually knew and how much I had to learn through my experience at university. That was a very formative moment where I suddenly realised that the world of knowledge was 1,000, 10,000 times bigger than I thought it was. That was a very exciting and formative moment for me. And my second story was the first time that I realised that my lecturers were human. And what I mean by that is I used to think that all the lecturers were geniuses who would just be able to learn stuff just like this with ease, and I were all geniuses, and I wasn't a genius, therefore what the hell could I do? What could I contribute, and how could I possibly be like them? And then I finally realised one day that they were actually humans as well, that they worked hard to get to their level of understanding, that they would work against their own limitations, and through discipline and hard work they would make use of the talent that they have. But the point was that they were not superhuman. I actually realised that I too could, through hard work and discipline, lots of sweat. It's fun, but it's also hard. That I too could aspire to be not like them. So those are my two stories. The first time in a science library, and the second regarding the first time I realised that my lecturers were in fact human beings.
Wow, David, that's fantastic. I love that anecdote, and I think that's a merchandising opportunity for Monash. Actually, is academics are humans too, on a T-shirt. So let's hope we see that one in the bookstore shortly. Dewey has an additional story that he'd like to share with the group. So I'll pass over to Dewey.
Okay. It's not like a big story, but when I first decided to come to Melbourne, I was a bit scared because I have never been to Australia before, and it was a very, very new environment for me. But in the end, I decided to go, and it turned out to be the best decision I've ever made. So I just would like to encourage the prospective students that just come to Australia, come to Monash, and you will explore things that is beyond your imagination. Yeah, because uni life for me has been greatly rewarding and extremely exciting. Yeah.
That's great, Dewey. Thanks for that. You're both also International Leadership Scholarship recipients, and I just thought I'd explain what's involved with the Monash International Leadership Scholarship process, and also the Monash Merit Scholarships. So we have two university-wide scholarships that are on offer for international students. They're usually targeted at high academic achievers, usually in the top 5%. The Leadership Scholarship, which Harin and Dewey have, provides 100% tuition fee relief. It's a pretty competitive process, but applications are open now. You need to qualify for an offer at Monash to be eligible for the scholarship. During that process, we also consider opportunities for the Merit Scholarship, and the Merit Scholarship provides $6,000 relief against tuition fees. The Faculty of IT also offers a comprehensive range of scholarships, including the IT Merit Scholarship. I wonder if, Campbell, you're able to respond to that one. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but perhaps you can.
Thank you, Tanya. You have put me on the spot a little bit. The IT Merit Scholarship, there are 2 levels of scholarship. And the difference between the levels is the amount of tuition fee relief. And I hope you're not going to ask me about the GPAs required at each level, because I don't know that. But there are 2 levels. Depending on the GPA that you get, you'll be awarded up at an appropriate level. The thing to note about that scholarship is that you don't need to apply for it. At the time that you apply for the course, you're automatically assessed for that scholarship, and if you're eligible, then you're awarded the scholarship. If you don't qualify for either of the levels, the Faculty of IT does offer $1,000 off the tuition fees for first semester for all international students, and subject to you achieving a credit average, I believe, 60% average in your first semester. If you achieve that, then you will go on to the lower level of the Merit Scholarship. So it's quite a generous scheme.
Great, thank you for that, Campbell, and I do apologise for putting you on the spot there. Listen, I think that we've heard some fabulous stories and some fabulous insights from our faculty representatives tonight. I want to bring tonight's formal question and answer section to a close, and now I'd like to introduce our local partner, theRightU, who will be drawing our winners.
Hi.
Min.
Hi, my name is Min and I'm from theRightU, Monash University's local admissions partner based here in Singapore. We're really honored to have had the opportunity to have partnered Monash on this Monash Live Chat 2013, and we hope all of you have enjoyed this event and found the information gleaned useful. So now it's time for the segment that all of you have been waiting for, which is the prize announcement. So we'll be re-announcing the 4 contest winners of our About Monash contest, and then we'll be moving on to announce the 2 lucky people who will be walking away with a round-trip ticket to Melbourne each. So let's get out to business. The winner of the first contest About Monash is Benjamin Koch. So you can find your information on the website, monash.theRightU.com, as well as on our Facebook page, which would be facebook.com/theRightU. And moving on now to the second winner, the winner of the second contest, Student Life, is Yiting Tan. Congratulations. The winner of the third contest, Hear from the Students, is Ko Junjie Jason. And the last winner of the finances/scholarships is Wei Jie Tan. So congratulations to all of you. And of course, now we'll be moving on to the big prizes. So we'll be doing a live draw. As you can see, I have a vase or a jar of some sort here, and I'll be drawing the names live. So the winner of the first winner of the round trip ticket to Melbourne is alright, got something. Is Emily Ng. I don't know if you can see that. So it's Emily Ng, and we've included the last 4 digits of your mobile phone number, just so we don't mix you up with someone else. 2496. So congratulations, Emily. It's fantastic news for you. And the second winner of the round trip ticket to Melbourne is, okay, here we go again. Right, is here we go, is Jeremy Lick. and the last 4 digits of your phone number are 4838. So, congratulations, a big congratulations to our 6 winners, and to the rest of you who participated, thank you so much for participating and for joining in the contests. So once again, we hope that you've enjoyed the Monash Live Chat 2013. If you have further questions or would like to apply to university, please feel free to contact us at theRightU. Visit our website at www.theRightU.com, and all our details, contact information will be listed there. So with that, it's time for me to bid all of you goodbye and let Tanya wrap up. So once again, thank you so much for being a part of the inaugural Monash Live Chat 2013, and I'll see you again, hopefully, next time. Bye!
Thanks for that, Min. And for those of you who haven't done so already, the RightU has a fabulous app that helps you to determine what your chances of getting into various universities is. It's a very impressive app, and I recommend that you check it out. So thank you to all of you who attended and participated in this event tonight. I'd like to especially thank Dr. Chan Kai Leok and Min Cheong of the RightU for the idea of doing this event and also for organising it. I'd like to thank our key speakers from the faculties, Associate Professor Mia Lindgren from the Faculty of Arts, Dr. Chris Ryan from the Faculty of Engineering, Dr. Campbell Wilson from the Faculty of IT, and Associate Professor David Paganin from the Faculty of Science. Behind the scenes, we've also been joined by a very busy team of admissions experts, and they've been led by Lloyd D'Souza from the from the Office of Future Students, but we've had many faculty representatives assisting him. I'd also like to thank our 2 student ambassadors, Dewey and Harin, for taking time out of their busy study schedules to participate in this event today. To all of those of you who have submitted questions, if we haven't responded to your question tonight, please don't worry, we will be responding over the next coming days. We'd also like to hear from you about what you liked about this event, what you'd like to see more of, and what you'd like to see less of. And most importantly, if you're interested in submitting an application, please visit our friends at the RightU in Singapore, and you'll be eligible for a application fee waiver if you've attended this event. Again, we've had a great time and learned a lot from this event, and we hope you have too. And we look forward to seeing you at Monash.